Welcome to the Dr. Dance Mom podcast, your guide to strong dancers with a bright future. I'm your host, Dr. Tara Christensen, doctor of physical therapy, dance medicine specialist, and proud dance mom. Let's dive into today's episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. The last few episodes, we've been talking a lot about culture, specifically some of the red flags we see in studio culture that should alert parents to a potentially toxic environment. More and more parents are looking for alternatives to the traditional studio environment for all sorts of reasons: money, time, culture, maybe even goals. There are some dance educators out there who have decided to form their own studio and operate primarily on a with some local in-person options as well. This allows studio owners to operate their business in a more cost-effective manner, especially as they get established, but it also offers alternative options to traditional training or to supplement training outside of the studio for dancers who need something extra. In addition, some of these studio owners are choreographing solos for dancers and allowing them to compete locally. Today's guest knows all about this model, as it is the model that she operates in herself. I'm joined today by Haley Fitch. Haley, will you please introduce yourself, give us a quick rundown of your dance experience, how you got into teaching, and what made you decide to start your own studio?
Okay, well, I am Haley Fitch. I started dancing when I was 14 years old, which is considered really late. And the second I started dancing, I was obsessed. And I was like, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. My parents said they could just tell something was so different about dance with me, because I used to do skating. I was a roller skater growing up. And I competed and do all the things. I wasn't as passionate about it as I was with dance. I would spend hours and hours in my room watching videos of like how to do turns better, least better, conditioning, stretching. And they were like, this is insane. We're just going to go with this and see what happens. And honestly, I've been like that ever since. I went to a college in Kentucky. I was there for a year. Ended up not being the best match. And ended up getting married and all that fun stuff. I ended up having a baby, and I moved to North Carolina with my husband, who was in the Army. And when I was there, we were there for about a year. It took off a little bit of time trying to figure out what I really wanted to do with dance. And we found out we were moving to the Panhandle in Florida. And there I found a tiny little school called Northwest Florida State College. And it was the best 3 years of my life. I was in a dance program there, and it was incredible training. Honestly, it was better than the training I got in Kentucky. It was tiny, and I had one teacher there. Her name was Lindsay, and she believed in me so much. She taught me that I could dance and be a mom at the same time. I was on a dance team. I was performing all the time. I took classes every single day. And there, I really started to get into cross-training. And from there, I started conditioning a lot, and my training elevated to like beyond what I could believe. So from that, I started performing all the time. And I graduated, and at my very last semester, I was able to choreograph a big group dance, and that was something I always wanted to do. So from there, I was like, I want to choreograph. I always loved choreographing. It was my biggest passion. So from there, I was like, I need to choreograph. This is going to be my life. And then we moved to Georgia. And I get to Georgia, and it wasn't so great. I found a school there. They had a dance minor program. The person who ran it, we didn't get along very well because she didn't let me dance with my son. She kind of just didn't think that was possible. So I left, and then I found another dance team, and they let me dance with my son, and it was incredible. It was very different from what I ever did. It was more hip-hop based, and that's not something that I do very well, but it was an amazing experience. And from there, I started teaching online because I really wanted to get into teaching again and choreographing. So I actually am part of a group on Facebook. I joined this group when I was like 16. It was called Worldwide Splitters Academy. It's a free split challenge group, and it was run by a contortionist. And she actually taught us like safe stretching, and I still use all those things to this day because it was extremely helpful. But I already was really familiar with Facebook groups and how all that worked. And I kind of left it for a few years, and she found me again when I was 22. And we started talking, and then there was a girl in this group. Her name was Kenzie. I'm going to say her name. I got to shout her out. She was my first kid I ever had. Kenzie needed help with her solo, and her mom reached out to me because she found out I was a dancer. She's like, hey, can you come help me with Kenzie's solo? And I started working with Kenzie for like 2 hours at a time. And her mom was like, you know, you're like really good at this, right? And I'm like, no way. Like, this doesn't work. It's on Zoom. Like, I want to teach in person. But the other problem too is like I was moving all the time to the military. So a lot of studios wouldn't hire me because I was moving every like 2 years. I was like, well, this could be a way for me to teach. This could be a way for me to choreograph. And I can do it the way I want to. And it goes with me wherever I go. So that is how I made Haley's classes.
That's a great story. But yeah, so for you, establishing more of like a virtual studio model was really to fit your lifestyle.
Yeah, I had no other choice. Honestly, I would not have it any other way.
Yeah.
I got to, a lot of the times I got told I was never going to be a professional dancer because I started late. And I didn't want to go off into being like a big company dancer. I wanted to choreograph. I wanted to be able to dance wherever I lived. That was always my biggest goal. So, and I'm doing it and it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Sounds like you've accomplished that
I
goal.
did.
That's
I
amazing.
did.
I love it. So, in this virtual model that you have, do you teach in person at all?
I do. I teach at a studio in Odessa. I go there once or twice a week, and sometimes I do guest teaching. I've taught in St. Augustine. I'm going to Orlando hopefully this summer, and I've also done one in Ocala a few times too.
What are some of the reasons that people seek you out for their dancers? Tell me a little bit about like the volume of dancers that you have within like your little online studio. Do you
My
have
little
Oh, go ahead,
online
sir.
group, my
Yeah.
group right now, I have about 1,000 people.
Wow.
But I don't see every single one of them all the time. Like people have take breaks and they'll come back. But right now, solo wise, choreography wise, I'm doing 22 dances, which is really fun. I'm having a really great time with that. A lot of them are siblings. So I have two girls, they have two solos each, and then I have a boy and a girl, and they have two solos and a duo, and it's just so cute. They're a cute little brother sister duo.
Aw.
And then group classes I have every weekend. I have about, it really does depend on the season. Like summer, I'll have about 18 kids in each class. Sometimes when it's Christmas time, it kind of goes between like 6 to 10. It really depends on like the time of the year. But I'm hoping to keep growing so that's consistently 18 kids every single class.
Yeah. And what are the reasons people seek you out for their dancers? So how do people find you, and what are they usually seeking when they're looking for you?
A lot of the time, people come to me when studios are just not working out anymore for them. I've been there. I've been in some bad studio situations before. Just for the fact that I was starting later, it kind of bugged some people, which I understand, but also why. I don't know why they cared so much how old I was when I started dancing. So it could be that, just like disagreements, schedules. Some kids want to do other things. Some of them want to play sports. Some of them want to have a high school experience. Some are in their last year of school and they're like, I want to have a senior solo, but I also need to start trying out for dance teams, and I can't commit to being on a competition team right now. So I do have a few seniors I'm working with this year. I have some that live in really small towns and they don't have a lot of training, and their studios can only do so much, which I get. Like you can't have an hour of conditioning class if you have one studio with a bunch of kids. So it's time. So a lot of that is too really why they come to me.
Yeah. And you mentioned conditioning, and I know that you do have some conditioning classes.
Ew.
How popular are your conditioning classes? Like, do you find that there's kids that just come to you for conditioning?
I do conditioning in every single class I have. So if
Oh,
they're not
good.
coming to me for conditioning, they're going to get it anyway.
Okay.
Everything besides ballet has conditioning. All my leaps and turns classes, the first 30 minutes are straight conditioning. I actually am certified in Sugarfoot, PBT, and Elevate, which is a new one I just got, which I love. It's so much fun. That one's like made for injury prevention, and helping you like get back to dance after an injury, which is great.
And then well, you just alluded to this a little bit, but what types of classes do you offer? So you mentioned conditioning, you mentioned ballet. What other types of
I
classes?
do leaps and turns. What else do I do? I do combo classes. I do PBT classes. I kind of combine them and mix them up all the time because I'm the kind of person, when I was in college, I had this one teacher, we had the exact same class every single week. And that moment I was like, I am never doing that. So I change up everything I'm doing all the time. I don't like to do anything twice. So I'll do like choreography classes because that was something I wish I learned how to do when I was like a younger dancer. It's like, how do I actually make dances? And I'm really helping them like get in touch with their creativity, and so they can find their own voice as a dancer now because it's never too early.
I love that.
So I do that. I work on combo classes. Picking up choreography was the biggest struggle I had.
Okay.
I'm actually dyslexic, and so to me, that was something I just couldn't get instantly. So I was like, I feel like I really know how to explain it because I understand what it's like to not be able to pick it up like that. And that's honestly like the proudest moment I have is like when the kids come to me like, I got a scholarship at a convention because I picked up the choreography super fast. And I'm like, that's all I ever really wanted. So to me, that's like my favorite class and the one I'm like the most proud to teach because I feel like I'm really helping these kids in the way that I never had help.
Yeah, and it really sounds like a lot of the classes that you offer are good. I don't want to say supplemental classes, but for kids that are dancing in a studio environment, if they are looking for some of that extra help and they're just not able to get it in their studio. So, I mean, choreography, that's like a huge one because I know a lot of kids that struggle with that. And to be fair, in a traditional studio environment, especially if it's a really large studio, sometimes they may not know that that child's truly struggling. They may
Right.
not really understand why they're struggling. They may notice that they're not picking it up as quickly as some of their peers, but it just might they might chalk it up to like variability in kids, but like not understand that there's maybe an underlying, something like dyslexia where maybe they do need some additional
Mhm.
coaching. And they also may not have the time to, address everything on a one-on-one basis for every student. And parents might not know to ask for help with that, to be
No.
honest. I mean, I
I
don't think they do.
No, the studios I went to, we never really did combos. I think the first time I ever took a combo class, I was 18. Because I
Wow.
did studios and I was so overwhelmed. And I was like, oh my gosh, how do I learn stuff really quickly? And when I got to college, like I said, Lindsay, the one who took me in, she finally made me not feel bad about it. And that's actually honestly what helped me. So that's like the biggest thing is like, you have to encourage them constantly to like make something click.
And just building that confidence, it sounds like
Yes.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I I do things that are harder than what they sometimes are ready for because it's making them just be okay with it and not being so scary. Like I do it safely, of course, but
Of course. Yeah.
like if it's a turn they never done, like if they've never done a double coupe turn, they're like, I don't think I can do it. I'm like, just try. You never know what's gonna happen. And like as soon as like, okay, it's fine, they'll actually end up getting it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's like my daughter's like that with her dance training. Like she gets very in her head about things. And so I can tell when she's having an off day and she's in her head. And like, for example, she's been working on her aerial just like separately. It's not part of dance. It's just something that is skill that she wanted to acquire. So we do separate tumble lessons at a different gym with a different coach. And she had it. I mean, like one day she finally, like something finally clicked. She landed probably 18 out of 20 of them, had a great session. And then the next time we went back, I don't know if it was something that happened at school or if she just had an off day, but she put her hands down for one aerial and then her mindset for the rest of the session was just in the trash. It was awful. And she wasn't landing them but it was a result of where her mind was at that moment. She was overthinking everything. And I think it just takes like one person can either build that up or tear that down. And so sometimes it comes from that like inner dialogue, which is really difficult to change. But
Yes.
if it just shows the power of the environment, right? So just talking about culture again, the environment that you're in really shapes how you progress as a dancer, as an individual. So it's just another kind of example of that.
That's a big thing with turns all the time. Second
Hmm.
turn specifically, I
Yeah.
get a lot. Like the kids, like I never done it before. I never learned how to do it, and I'll show them how to do it. And I'm like, just do it. They're like, but I'm like, just do it, just do
Hmm.
it. I'm like, we'll fix it later.
Try.
Just do it.
Yeah.
We'll fix it later.
Yeah.
And honestly, I got told that a lot too. I wasn't the strongest turner. I was the leg girl, the one who always held her leg to her face while everyone would turn. And it took me a long time to change my mindset of my own turns too, because I
Yeah.
was like, I'm not that good at turning. And then I just stopped saying that. And honestly, I started turning.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'm always just trying to push them past their boundaries and letting them know they can do a lot more than what they think.
Yeah, I absolutely love that because I think that that goes a long way. And like sometimes they need that individual encouragement. Like I said, in that big like group class environment, they don't always have that individual feedback. And so I think that's the benefit of what you're offering is really for those kids that maybe do need that extra bit of help and encouragement. I mean, even just if they take a few tips away, from a class, and then that extra sense of confidence with them, that's huge, and that's another small step forward in their training.
That's my favorite thing that ever happens, honestly. I'll
Yeah.
get like texts sometimes like, my daughter hit her turns, and it was all because of you. And I'm like, well, I mean, I probably just told her something that helped. I'm like, I didn't
Yeah.
physically make her turn. That's her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like they're doing it. I'm just here to kind of guide them through it. So,
Yeah. And it
I mean,
sounds
I love helping them, but I'm like, it's not me, it's them. Like they're
yeah.
doing it.
But it does sound like that's probably the uniqueness of your classes as well, is like you have a little bit of an out of the box approach where you're providing a lot of that just individual encouragement, but also, like you said, choreography and just things like that that maybe there's not a specific class on, or conditioning, like if they don't have studio doesn't have time to fit conditioning into their schedule, it is very important. So it's an opportunity for dancers to be able to slot that in, maybe when they have a day off or into their schedule where they can fit it.
Mhm. A lot of it is too is I'm really trying to encourage them to work more on their own because
Yeah.
I feel like my own training, I did get private lessons a lot, which was really great, but for a while I couldn't like afford them.
Mhm.
So I'm
Yeah.
trying to give them tools to take so that they know how to work on their own. If they can't see me for a while, they have these tools that they can use all the time and they can learn how to like strengthen their own bodies and work on their own. And that's honestly something I'm really trying to get is like that self motivation because that self motivation is what's going to get you far. And that's how I'm here right now.
Yeah, it is. And I think giving them resources too that they can kind of look to on their
Yes.
own is
Yes.
important. And that's, I mean, I see it all the time in what I do. Like, I'm a physical therapist. You would think that there would be a lot more motivation, especially when you have like an injured dancer who's looking to get back to dance. But I still struggle with nearly all of my patients, getting them to complete their home exercises that I give them, and like that work is important. You can't just do something once and expect it to stick. You also can't expect there to be carryover when you're not practicing or when you're not repeating something. So, yeah, that's something that I wish they would all learn a lot earlier. Some of it's personality. I think some kids are a little bit more motivated naturally than others. And I think sometimes what it comes down to is getting them to stick with it long enough to see the results. Because
Yes.
once they see the outcome and once they start to see a difference in something as a result of what they've been doing consistently, that's when it sinks in that, oh, like this consistency is what's needed in order for me to get where I'm going. It's not just oh, I can do this once and then it's just going to fix all my problems, because that's not
Literally.
how it works.
Literally. No, honestly, when we think about one girl I have, she hated conditioning so much. She complained out the entire time. She's like, why are we doing this? One day, she finally got her double pirouette. She's working on getting that double pirouette for a very long time. She's a little bit older dancer. And she realized, wait, this actually works. And now every time I see her, all she wants to do is condition. And I'm like, I thought you hated conditioning. She's like, no, it works. So I'm like, told you, it does work.
Yeah. And there's lots of things that can go into that too. So, you know, but strength is important, and they have to be able to support their own body, and that's the bottom line. If they don't have enough strength to support what they're doing appropriately, then they're just
That's fun.
not going to be successful. So, I
That
think
went on a lot of my training too. Like I said, I was 19 when I finally figured out how important strength was. And honestly,
yeah.
I'm not a physical therapist, but I can guarantee that you need probably dance is probably like 90% strength.
Yeah. And the other thing I think dancers think, because of Instagram, because of YouTube, because of a lot of the stuff that's out there on social media, that they need like a lot of like fancy equipment or tools in order to condition. Like, you don't. You just need your body weight.
I use
And
I like dumbbells.
yeah, some dumbbell maybe. I mean, those things do help, especially as they progress. But to start, you can do a lot with just your own body weight.
Yeah,
So, um,
100%.
there's anybody can do something with minimal tools. And
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll use dumbbells. I'll use bands, but I'm also like, you don't have them, don't worry about it. Just
Yeah.
That's always my biggest thing. I'm like, if you have it, great. If you don't worry about it. You don't need it to make this exercise better. It will still
Exactly.
work.
Yeah, and I think, progressing resistance is important
Hmm.
at a certain point if things are getting easy. But again, there's easily multiple ways that you can do that, even, with minimal tools. So you don't need a whole lot of fancy equipment in order to to do a conditioning program. Um, so shifting gears a little bit back to choreography and things like that. How does your choreography piece work since you are essentially a
Yeah,
virtual
I
studio,
am.
right? So like if someone's seeking you out for like a solo, how do you do that? Do you choreograph it all virtually or do you do like a
Mhm.
hybrid type model?
I
Do some
do.
people see you in person?
Some people see me in person, some do hybrid. I only have a few that are like near me right now that can, but I have people who are like up north and it's not possible.
Right.
So I do mostly all of it over Zoom, which sounds really hard, but it really isn't that bad. Basically, when you're choreographing things, you have to just be constantly being like, this is my right arm and I'm going to the right corner and I am facing this. So they can like adjust it themselves. So you would think spacing would be really hard, but it really hasn't been that bad so far. So, I mean, it also really just does depend. Like, I like to give a lot of cues and details of what I'm doing so it like translates immediately. And I also do not do it all in like 2 hour sessions. I break it up. I like learning my solos that way, and I like choreographing that way, and that makes it so much easier. I record everything as I am doing it, and I will take videos of me walking through step by step, like a YouTube tutorial, basically. Like, I'm looking here, and that makes it so much easier for them to work on it on their own.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because you do need that level of detail, I feel like, when you're, trying to learn through a screen
Yes.
versus in person. And not everyone can teach that way. I mean,
I don't
I
think
feel
it's
like that's
easy.
a special skill. That is a special skill.
I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've been doing it longer, but I genuinely think teaching online is easier sometimes.
Yeah.
I think I can pick up the details a little bit better because I can really see them. When I'm in person, you can see them, but it's easier to kind of overlook things, I feel like, because there's a lot of like background things going on. So
Okay.
when I'm like on the computer, I can really watch them and be like, okay, but your finger looks really weird there. When I'm in person, I feel like I miss those things. So
Okay.
I don't know. Online, I feel like it's easier to pick up those little details.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting thought.
Maybe it's just me. I have no idea. But
I don't know. I mean, personally, I don't do a lot of instruction online. So, and if I do, it's more like this type of format. So it's more,
Mhm.
teaching or conversing or, with like a slideshow, but I'm not actually teaching movement online. It's just something that I've actually never really tried it because I've never had to, but I also I don't know. My perception is that it would be challenging, but maybe it's not as bad as I think.
The first time anyone takes a class, like they're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
That's normally what happens. But I always say, like, just try again. Just like keep showing up, and then eventually you'll be like, oh, this isn't so bad. And a lot of it too is I feel like because women like are doing this in their living rooms or their
Yeah.
bedroom or they're outside or they have a studio like I do, like built in their house, and it's just you. There's no pressure. I feel like you're able to really
Yeah.
like lock into yourself and what you're doing, and you're not overwhelmed with everyone watching you and like parents talking outside and this. So it's like just you and me, and I feel like we get a lot done that way.
That's a really good point, actually, because I do feel like that, I don't know, for lack of better terms, peer pressure in the studio environment can be overwhelming for some kids. You know, but again, if, in terms of performance anxiety and things like that, if they are going to go perform at a
Hmm.
competition or something, that is something that, they should also be prepared to face. But in terms of practice, I know a lot of people who are perfectionists. So they prefer to do like the messy work out of sight of other people and don't like to kind of reveal the final product until they feel like it's perfected. And so that's a good point with that is that it just does give them the freedom to be a little bit more relaxed and maybe they feel more open to making mistakes without being like judged or scrutinized.
Hmm. I
Yeah,
think too, because like psychologically, you're home. Home is your safe space.
true.
Home. So That's just kind of what I've been noticing. Is like when they're home, they're like, okay, I'm fine. I'm allowed to make mistakes. This is my safe space.
Yeah.
Studios are also your safe space too. But like
Yeah.
I said, there is still some outside pressure that you might not even feel like you have, but it is still there.
Yeah, and even if they don't perceive it, some of them feel it. Yeah, but they just don't know how to identify it sometimes, I think. Yeah, exactly. In terms of solos, we kind of talked about that a little bit. So how you technically have your own studio, correct? So
Yes.
when they come to you and they say like, "Hey, I want to do a solo with you and I want to compete," how does that essentially work? So do you register them for the competitions that they have already identified that they want to go to, and you just
Hmm.
kind of they represent your studio at those competitions
Hmm.
or conventions? Yeah, how does that work?
So basically, they'll come to me and I'll be like, all right, give me a list of like 10 that you really want to go to. And I will look online as well. But I like them to pick because I'm not driving there. Like, I don't know how far away they are. I don't want to give them one that's accidentally like an hour and a half away. Because I can type their city in, but that doesn't really help because it could actually be really far. So
Yeah.
I'm like, you pick 10 and I'll go through each one and I will apply. Some are really picky, unfortunately. Some of them will be like, oh, you can't, you have to have 5 dances at this competition. So I won't be able to do that
Gotcha.
one. But some of them are also like amazing. Like Star Quest is so great. That one's been really nice to deal with, and I'm trying to think other one. Uh, what is it?
Okay.
Groove, Starbound. Some of those, like those are great, but like the really small ones, those are actually a little bit harder to get into. Interestingly enough, I
Interesting.
don't know why. I know, but yeah. So that's what I do. So they'll give me a list, and we'll go through and we'll pick them, and then I register them. And then from there, we'll pick how many they're doing. So, like I said, I've been doing a few duos online. Actually, so much fun. I'm doing 3 of them, and I have these 2 girls I did with them last year. They were my first duo I ever did online. They had like I don't even know what happened. They had a choreographer, and they weren't able to do it. And the parents found me. We choreographed the entire thing in like 2 days, and they turned around and did it. And they're like, "You learned this on Zoom?" They were like so surprised. It ended up doing really well. So that's the other thing too is I will have some studios have me just choreograph it and then they register it themselves. So
Oh, that's nice.
mhm.
Yeah, if like they just don't have time or if they don't have a
Yeah,
choreographer.
exactly. Some of
Gotcha.
them even require actually to find their own choreographer, which is interesting.
Huh.
So some of them are like, we don't have time. Find your own choreographer.
That's
Like,
interesting.
so I've had that happen. That's really what I did last year before I registered, having Haley's classes. So that's what I did before. I was I'd have studios. They would just register and do everything, and I would just choreograph it.
All
But
right.
this year, I am registering and choreographing for their studios. So
It's kind of an exciting step.
it's very exciting. I'm having so much fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. How does your studio work as a community? So I know like the a studio community environment is like so important to a lot of dancers, and um, yeah, we didn't really touch on this, but I think some people that might be seeking out this model, like maybe they're just like you said, maybe it's their senior year of high school and they still want to dance, they still want to compete, they just want to do a solo, but they want to enjoy their senior year. They want to be free of the commitments of like the studio environment, or maybe some other things. But like, how do you have any sense of like how do you create that community within like your studio if you're virtual?
That's a good one. So I actually have a lot of amazing parents that reach out to me all the time, and they're always trying to help me just because they want to. And I feel like I've made a cute little family on my little Facebook group, and some of the kids are friends with each other. Some of them have like follow each other on Instagram, and they'll talk to each other, and like they're in different states, different countries, even.
Oh wow.
And a lot of the parents I've had like talk to me all the time, asking me for like advice, like how do I do this, how do I do this, or things like that. I don't know. It's really nice. Like I feel like I've made so many amazing friends all over the place. What I really love about like my studio is that it's not the same people. There are some people that stay, but there's always new ones coming in and they're all over the place. So it's a very different environment. Like I have people in Australia,
Wow.
Canada, California, New York, and I'm in Florida. I would have never expected to know all these people. So it's nice to being able to like branch out and make that community that way. Instead of it just being like in my tiny little city in Florida.
Yeah. How long has it taken you to like build up that community?
3 years.
3 years.
So my very first year, yeah, no, it's been doing
That's
pretty
short.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's actually insane. My very first year, like I said, I did with Kenzie. I had her and I kind of just started doing private lessons. I was doing them very, very low price because I wanted just to get my name out there and start. I was still a new teacher. I was still trying to figure out what I was doing and what I wanted to do and what I wanted to accomplish. So I did that. I had about 10 kids first, which was kind of big for just starting,
Mhm.
but also I was very, very affordable, so I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. And then I was getting more into school. It was getting really hard, so I had to drop privates for a bit. And I switched to group classes, and I did just group classes. I did them on Saturday and Sunday, and I only did like 2 of them because I was doing college dance team. I actually ended up getting another job at a gymnastics gym. They found I took a class there for one of my electives, and they hired me to teach ballet, which is so. I'm not a gymnast in any way, but I learned so much there. So I was working there a few times a week. So from that, I was able to start learning how to teach in person too, which was great.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot there. And then I actually got injured really badly. I'm still going through a lot of injuries right now. That'll save that story. But basically, I got really injured and I wasn't able to dance or do dance team anymore. And I was really sad. It was really sad. I was like, what is my life going to look like with dance now? And I don't know, something just kind of shifted in me. Like, I'm just going to put all my energy into this. So I started doing more group classes. I brought back privates. And that summer, I want to say 2024, it just expanded so much. And I was choreographing all the time. And that's when I started getting opportunities to start choreographing for other people. I was teaching combo classes, leaps and turns. And I was like, this is amazing. I'm like, I think this is actually what I meant to to do. Like, I meant to do this.
Yeah.
So I just fully went into it. And then, like, my last semester of college, I was trying to do that at the same time, and it was a lot
Wow.
of work. But as soon as I graduate, like, my last semester, I was like, all right, what do I really want to do? Because I was getting my degree in psychology. I'm like, do I really want to be a therapist? Do I really want to go off and do this? And I'm like, no, I don't. I want to dance. I've always wanted to dance. And this is right here in front of me, and I made it myself. So I
Yeah.
just fully went into it after I graduated, and I've been doing it full time. So I've been doing it full time for almost a year.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been a little hectic 3 year. It was like on and off, but that it's been full, like, committed for a full year now.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you've built quite a community in that very short period of time. So it's truly, I'm sure, a testament to, what you've built in terms of like, what you offer and how you teach, and people seem to, appreciate what you do. So hopefully that continues to grow from here for you.
Thank
Definitely wish
you.
you all the best with it. Is there anything else that you would like to tell our listeners about either your studio or any like little nuggets of wisdom that you'd like to share?
I mean, I just can't believe this is my life sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane. Like, you can do anything. Like, I don't let anyone tell you that you're too old, you're not talented enough. There is so much to do in dance. There is so much to do in dance. Don't give up because you don't feel like you're good enough, because I was never the strongest in the group. I wasn't even the strongest when I was in college, but it was afterwards I was able to really, like, blossom into myself and find what I really loved. And I've been able to have so many opportunities that I never would have dreamed of. Like, I own my own studio, and I can't wait for it to keep growing. And if I listened to the people that told me I couldn't do it, this would have never happened. So don't listen to them. Just
Exactly.
focus on what you want to do.
Yeah.
Just go for your goal. Find out what your little niche is. Like mine, I loved choreographing, and that's what I really wanted to go into. I also like performing, but I had to figure out what I liked performing. So you just gotta find, like, your group and what you want to do. And there's a million ways to be successful in dance. You don't have to go to New York. You don't have to go to LA. You can do this in your living room in Florida.
Yes, and you're truly a testament to that.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much. I really appreciate all of the wisdom that you've shared today, and I've loved hearing about how you've built what you what you have.
All
I
right.
think hearing stories from other dancers is so important. It's definitely something I've always wanted to incorporate into this podcast, and since I've thought about starting a podcast, it was like really one of the things that I wanted to do was to give a space for people in the dance community to talk about what they do, to show some of the younger dancers and dance parents that it doesn't have to look a certain way, because
No.
everybody thinks that they're all like kind of striving for the same goals, and there are so many different paths that you can take. So
Right.
yours is definitely a little bit more unconventional, which I love because I think people need to hear those stories. And I absolutely love that your story, you just kind of organically took you to where you are. And I think that's another thing that people can take away is, even if the past starts to look a little different from what you originally thought it might look like, that's okay. Just go with it and see what happens, because it may be an entirely better outcome than what you thought you were pursuing in the beginning. And
1000%.
yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for joining
you.
me. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something. Please be sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Also, make sure you head over to Instagram and YouTube and follow us there. Send us your listener questions, topic suggestions, and feedback at drdancemompodcast@gmail.com. That's Dr. fully written out, Dance Mom Podcast, also fully written out, @gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening.